Namaste, Pranam, Gita Dhyana. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitam Vritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatva Manusantadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavatveshinim. Oh Bhagavad Gita, with which Lord Narayana himself gave enlightenment to Arjuna. The ancient sage Vyasa included it in the Mahabharata. O goddess, showerer of the nectar like knowledge of non-dualism contained in your 18 chapters. O my affectionate mother, the destroyer of rebirth, I meditate upon thee. Krishna Vandana. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Son of Vasudeva, the slayer of Kansa and Chanur, extreme delight for Mother Devaki, O Lord Krishna, the supreme teacher of the universe, my salutations to you. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the 6th Adhyaya, Dhyana Yoga, the yoga of meditation, and Sri Krishna very lovingly, very affectionately and precisely he is clearing off the doubts raised by Arjuna regarding what happens of a person who, having started this practice of meditation, having given up the attachment to the worldly enjoyments, he starts this process of meditation, but somehow, because of something, he doesn't get to the end result of having that realization of understanding the oneness of all the beings, of realizing the oneness of all beings and their relationship with the Paramatman, with the Supreme Brahman. What happens of such a person? Is it that his entire, he is neither here nor there, and Sri Krishna says, no, my dear child, no tata. That's what he had addressed Arjuna in the previous shloka, that nahi kalyan krit kaschit durgatim tata gacchati. Oh tata, oh my dear child, he never gets into that phase of durgati. He never gets that. Such a person will never get into the stage of afflictions, of grief. He is not. It's not. He is neither here nor there. He has started the journey, and then Sri Krishna says, if he doesn't achieve that goal, if he doesn't gain that ultimate knowledge of oneness of all the beings and their relationship with the Paramatman, doesn't matter. He has started the journey. Even if his body falls down, even if the person falls on the path of this yoga bhrashta, it is not that he has got into ruins. No. He says, this person, he will take another birth. And he will take another birth in such a family where there is purity and prosperity. In case there are any harmless desires still attached with that Jivatman, he has to fulfill those desires. And if not, if the desires are not requiring the prosperity in that house, he will take birth in the family where there is nothing but purity, where there is nothing but holiness, which is running down the generations. There, all he needs to do is contemplate on the divine, and he will get into that state. So it is not that his efforts are going to be waste. And today in this 43rd shloka, Sri Krishna is again reiterating the same point. The effort is not wasted. Don't you worry about it. The effort is not wasted at all. Tatra tam buddhi-sanyogaṁ. Now 43rd shloka. tatra tam buddhi-sanyogaṁ labhate paurva-dehikam yatate cha tato bhūyaḥ sansiddhau kuru-nandana. Having told about these two paths, these two alternatives that the Jivatman will take in the rebirth, either a family of great purity and also prosperity, or the family of only yogis. But Sri Krishna has cautioned, this path, this second alternative is extremely rare, extremely difficult. Etadhi durlabhataram janma yadidrusham. Janma yadidrusham etadhi durlabhataram. Extremely durlabh. It is extremely rare for that soul to reach that stage of taking a birth in the family where there is nothing but devotion, where there is nothing but shraddha, there is nothing but faith running down in generations, one generation after the other. Now Sri Krishna says, tatra tam buddhi-sanyogaṁ. There, having taken birth in these two kind of circumstances, either a family with purity and prosperity, or a family nothing but devotion, nothing but the yogic practices being followed. Wise yogis. What happens? Tatra tam buddhi-sanyogaṁ labhate paurva-dehikam. He attains buddhi-sanyogaṁ. He attains unity with the knowledge which has been gained, paurva-dehikam, which has been gained in the previous body. He can recollect. He can recollect from where, at which stage he had stopped and from which stage he has to start again. That knowledge he regains. He regains that knowledge, buddhi-sanyogaṁ labhate, of the previous birth. Yatate cha tato bhūyaḥ sansiddhau kuru-nandana. O kuru-nandana, O son of Kurus. Yatate cha tato bhūyaḥ. Yatate is strives. Cha tato bhūyaḥ. And he strives more from where he had left off in the previous birth. O kuru-nandana, O son of Kuru, this is what happens with him. And addressing Arjuna as kuru-nandana in this particular shloka, Sri Krishna has brought in some kind of continuity of his teaching in the 41st and 42nd shloka. Sri Krishna says, you are a kuru-nandana, O kuru-nandana, O son of Kurus. You have taken birth in this lineage of Kurus. The great lineage of Kurus with all the purity and prosperity. You have been able to fulfill all those, unquenched desires of the previous birth. That's why you have taken birth in this, the family of Kurus. O kuru-nandana, O son of Kurus, you have got this opportunity. You yourself have taken birth in the clan of Kurus. Your ancestors were so great. And you have got this opportunity to further continue this journey on the yoga from where you had left off. Yatate cha tato bhūyaḥ. From what you did in the previous birth, you will gain the knowledge, and then you have to restart the journey from that point onwards. Now this is like telling, supposing we compare ourselves on this scale of 0 to 10. 0 is extremely evil, extremely worldly, extremely, good for nothing gone case. That is 0. And 10. 10 is the ultimate stage of realization, the self-realization, the ultimate knowledge. That is what each one of us is striving for. Now on this scale of 0 to 10, maybe in one birth we end up at 1. Then we take another birth. Now, whatever efforts have been done from 0 to 1, reaching the level of 1, okay, that evil tendencies, those mean tendencies would be there. But it is not 0 then. We have reached stage 1. So from that, in that birth, the progress starts from 1 onwards. Then maybe in another birth, we reach to the level of say 3 or 4 or 5. Again, we drop this body, but still we have not reached 10. Now what Sri Krishna says, it is not that we have to restart the journey from 0. No. If we have shed this body at say 0.4 or 0.5 on the scale, in next birth, again we start the journey, we get that knowledge. We get that inclination of where we were earlier, and then the journey starts again from that 0.4 or 0.5. Gone is the time when we were 0. Gone is the time where we were on the bottommost phase of that scale of 0 to 10. So this is what happens, Sri Krishna says. There he regains the knowledge acquired in his former body. Paurva-dehikam buddhi-sanyogaṁ labhate. And then his efforts, he starts with full zest. That now the distance has cut short, reaching the level of 10. I have reached the level of 4. Now I have got just 6 more steps to cross. I need not worry about 0 to 4 then. So that much leeway, that much leniency, that much assurance, in fact, Sri Krishna is giving Arjuna as a kuru-nandana. You have got this opportunity, O kuru-nandana, that you can start the journey where you left in the previous body. The prospective yogi born in the house of the pure and prosperous begins his new life with the enjoyment of some harmless pleasures which he innocently harbored in his heart in the previous birth. There were some innocent, there were some harmless desires. Maybe his desire was to do some charity. Now, to do some charity for good, he needs monetary resources that he won't get if he is born in a poor family. So, the soul, the Jivatman, takes birth in a prosperous family where the goddess Lakshmi has, showered her grace. He gets that opportunity there to fulfill that desire of performing maybe charity, of giving away things to the needy. Otherwise, he can't. Facilities for fulfillment of those sinless desires are in abundance in the new setting. There he has got the scope to utilize that money for the good cause. No sooner are the guiltless pleasures gone through than the aspirant takes to the practice of yoga. The moment all those innocent, harmless, those guiltless pleasures are enjoyed, then again starts the process of realization, the process of gaining this knowledge of oneness of the lower self with the Supreme Self. Now all those desires are gone. Whatever was left over is all finished. Now is the opportunity to get into the real knowledge. But that yogi who is born in the family of wise yogis has a better start naturally. The yogi who borns in a family of devotees, the family of people with faith ingrained in their system, that desire fulfillment aspect is not there at all. Although those desires are of the other types are very minimal and very pure, there is no trace of lust and greed attached to those desires. Those are also the pure desires, but they have to be fulfilled. And that's what Holy Mother Sarada Devi has said, that Even a minute desire of eating some sweet will make this person take a birth again. A minute test, simple, plain desire. If I am on the deathbed and I feel like I should have a bite of Amul chocolate, maybe for that I have to come back again and complete that desire. Absolutely harmless desire of having an Amul chocolate or sharing Amul chocolates with my friends. I am not able to do it. Or give away something that is needed by the people, give it back to them. If such innocent desires are there left out in the heart, then is the scene of taking a birth in the family of prosperous people, where prosperity reigns. But if there are no even those desires, but still something is to be done, some karma is to be spent, then there is an alternative of this family of people with devotion, people with shraddha, people with faith and the wisdom. So there automatically he doesn't have to spend any time in fulfilling the desire. Straightway take up the journey after fulfilling those whatever rudimentary karma was there to be spent. That's it. Birth had to be taken. Birth has taken, that karma is finished. Now let me start the journey of self-realization. The favorable environment draws out the latent yoga elements in him. The environment is so conducive, so favorable for that kind of enlightenment. He feels as though he were going through the old lessons again. And then he realizes, oh yes, this is where I had stopped. Now I have to start from here. All the old lessons, all those multiplication tables of 1 to 9 or 1 to 10, he remembers, oh yes, I had done it. Now I have to take up lesson multiplication table from 11 onwards, and that's it. So it becomes as simple as that for the second type of yogi. His inborn tendency, ministered by the helpful surroundings, leads him on rapidly towards the ideal. This is the advantage that such types of yogis they get when they take birth in the people, in the families of knowledge already is flowing there. Devotion already is flowing there. But then Sri Krishna says, it is durlabhataram. It is extremely rare to be. Of course, even souls are also rare to have such kind of tendency of getting birth in the family of learned people, in the family of people with devotion. Souls are less. Families are also less. Therefore, the chances of getting this happening is extremely less. But the chances of getting birth in the pure and prosperous family, they are plenty. Like he has told to kuru-nandana, you have born in this clan of Kurus, where you have the opportunity of utilizing that purity, which is, it is a different matter that the Kauravas, his same, they are also of the Kuru clan. But their tendencies were totally different. The tendencies of Pandavas were totally different. So this is what Sri Krishna has told in the 43rd Shloka, and while giving commentary on this Shloka, Swami Chidbhavananda ji has given a very wonderful example of how these two types of yogis, of course we cannot call them yogis. He has given the example of Swami Vivekananda and our Thakur Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa. I mean, they were the incarnations themselves. But for the point of understanding what Sri Krishna has said in these two shlokas of 42 and 43, he has given the example of Swami Vivekananda and Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa. Swami Vivekananda, when he took birth as Narendranath Datta, he was born in a very affluent family, a very prosperous family. His father Vishwanath Datta, a wonderful lawyer for that matter, wealthy family, and that was the family where Swamiji as a child, he could fulfill his desires of giving away the things. He had that opportunity, he had that scope of throwing away his garments on the road from out of window so that the needy people can pick them up and they can start using it. What a pure, as a child, what a pure thought of giving away. And having been born as a son of Vishwanath Datta, he had that opportunity of throwing away the things. Had he taken birth in some low family, some very poor family, he would, maybe that desire he had cherished while taking birth. He might have had the desire that if I am taking birth, if Sri Ramakrishna is calling me to come back on this earth, okay, I will have this desire of giving away the things in the childhood. So later it was and after those desires were fulfilled, then the circumstances totally changed. After the death of his father, the entire family were as if they had come on the streets, they have come on the road. And then when Swami Vivekananda went to Sri Ramakrishna that you please pray to your goddess, you pray to your mother to give us something. Sri Ramakrishna said, I am not going to ask. You go and ask my mother. She will provide. And what happens? Swamiji goes to the mother, not once, not twice, 3 times. And instead of asking for worldly things, for monetary things, what he asks? He asks, Amake bhakti dao, shraddha dao, gyan dao, vairagya dao. He asks for piety, purity, devotion and non-attachment, renunciation. Because he had crossed all the earlier phases in the previous life. There was no need for him to ask for anything. He was a great yogi himself. The Sakshat avatar of Lord Shiva. But still, he had to come down and undergo all these processes mentioned by Sri Krishna. And then Swami Chidbhavananda gives an example of Ramakrishna Paramhansa himself. Born in a very poor family. Kshudiram Chattopadhyay, very poor Brahmin. Just, hand to mouth the kind of sustenance. But greatly devoted. What a great devotion for Raghubir he had. Not only Kshudiram, even his wife Chandramani Devi, Sri Ramakrishna's mother. His elder brothers, great scholars. So that is the kind of lineage Sri Krishna says. Such great souls, they choose to be born. They don't want to fulfill even the minutest of desires. Just for the sake of fulfilling karma, they have to take birth. For preaching, they have to take birth. But before preaching, they have to undergo the process of devotion, of austerities. And therefore, Sri Ramakrishna's birth in the family of Kshudiram Chattopadhyay and Chandramani Devi. Even birth of our Ma, Ramchandra Mukherjee, Ramchandra Mukhopadhyay and Shyama Sundari Devi, such a simple, poor village couple. The Divine Mother had chosen these poor but devout families, where the tendency of inherent knowledge was already there. So that is how we see these things happening, what Sri Krishna has said in the 42nd and 43rd shloka of this 6th adhyaya of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Dhyana Yoga. It really happens that people with very minor, meager, but harmless, innocent, absolutely guilt-free desires, they take a birth in a prosperous family with good intentions. And people who only want to do a little bit. Sri Ramakrishna used to have his bhava samadhi since he was a child. Just looking at the flying cranes in the sky against that deep blue background, he could relate himself with the ultimate Brahman, that small boy of 6 or 7 years. So that is what happens when you are already already you have reached certain stage. In case of Sri Ramakrishna, the incarnation himself, he had to take birth and he chose that poor family. Ma Sharada, she chose that poor family. There was no need for them to, take birth as such, but for educating the people, but for teaching the people what is your goal. And in the life of Sri Sharda Devi, teaching the people how one should live the perfect life of a householder, with renunciation, with non-attachment. So for all these things, even the gods take birth. Even when gods themselves, they take birth, they choose either of these two. The pure family with prosperity, or doesn't matter, no prosperity, but inherent purity, inherent devotion, inherent faith. So that was such a beautiful assurance Sri Krishna has given. None of the efforts are ever going to be waste. We will get opportunities, and not only that, Sri Krishna says, yogis, they gain the knowledge gained in they regain the knowledge gained in the previous birth, and with further meticulous efforts, hardcore efforts, they restart the journey. So that was the 43rd shloka that we read from the Dhyana Yoga today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Sri Ramakrishna. Jai Thakur. Jai Ma. Jai Swamiji.